Oh, okay, dude, we're live. Don't screw up the sound again, man. We're live now.
No. We're not messing nothing up.
Okay. Hey, this is Chaotic Sports. My name's Chris Sarda. This is Wayne Flint over here. We haven't gone on for a while. But a lot of coronavirus shut-ins. I figured, hey, let's talk random sports. There's no plan here. We had no plan. We didn't talk about what we were going to talk about before. But in all the years I've known Wayne, there has been no issue with. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. There's no issue with. You're good though. There's been no issue with us talking, saying shit, going on. Now I gave a bunch of people the old link. Like I even tried to give Big Dave, the old link, the link to see if he wanted to come in or pop in the at least in the chat or something. A little short term. Maybe one day we'll plan it. You're good right there, dude. Stop moving the phone. You're good. This
I
is
know,
beautiful.
I
You're
know.
beautiful. And anyway, I just thought, hey, it's time. Let's do some. Well, if it's just the two of us, I'm going to do this one. When there's a bigger crowd, I've noticed that other view is a little bit better.
I just
So
want Angelo to come get down. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear his foolish insight.
well, you think he's got to work? He might have to work tonight. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. But yeah, hey, we'll plan this maybe next weekend if everyone's still in lockdown, even though we're going to work. But if we're all still trying to not do anything, we'll try to make a better plan and get a couple more people in. Yeah, I'm on a lot of streams on Chaos and Comics for like comic book and collecting and that kind of stuff. And there are a lot of sports fans there, believe it or not. So I sent it out a little bit late, but I threw up some for them to jump on. But if it's just us, I mean, there's not going to be any worries. I don't think we talk a lot of shit to each other. All the fun things that people like. I mean, we go out of our way to talk shit to each other, right? Like we will sit and text the shit talk quite oftentimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you got somewhere you want to start? I know you've been watching UFC today.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've definitely been watching UFC. I'm a little bummed out about this coronavirus, especially if it doesn't allow us to watch some upcoming fights that I was excited about. I know, there's supposed to be this upcoming weekend a fight. Tyron Woodley's first fight back since losing his belt. He was going to go overseas and fight Leon Edwards, but unfortunately, which was a big fight for him.
Yeah, that'd have been a great fight too. That'd have been a great fight.
I was excited to see. I think Leon Edwards is on like a 7 or 8 fight win streak, and this is Tyron Woodley's first bout since losing his belt. So, doesn't look like it's going to happen this weekend. The UFC was trying to make some efforts to hold fights within their facilities in Las Vegas, but it doesn't look like the state is allowing that either, which is very disappointing.
Yeah, and also a lot of fighters are just not. They weren't in London yet either, and when they closed the flights down and everything, so it's a sucky situation. I mean, we got some fights. It was basically the only sporting event on Saturday, and that was a solid. The prelims were a little bit boring. They were good fights, but they were all decisions, and the main card was actually really good.
We got out to my boy Sugar Shane O'Malley. Finally, eccentric, weird, skinny dude representing the ring.
That was a couple weeks ago.
What's that?
Sugar Shane was a couple weeks ago.
No, that was just this weekend. I'm talking about. Did I say O'Malley? Sean O'Malley? I meant to say Sugar Sean O'Malley, not Sugar Shane.
Oh. He did fight. God, I thought that was on the pay-per-view from a couple weeks ago. You're right. He did.
No, he fought just yesterday.
Yeah, in Brasilia. Wow, why does that feel like so long ago? I was going to talk about the Kevin Lee fight, but damn, why does that feel so long ago? Yeah, hey, Sugar Shane being back, having that weird, skinny white guy from Montana, but just has that weird style. I think that's important. I don't think enough people come in with coming with the strange, you know what I mean?
Eccentric characteristics.
Yeah, and that's hard to beat. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he fought someone that was more of a veteran. I can't even remember his name. I can pull stuff up though, luckily since it's just a chat. But yeah, 2 years out. So he had that crazy injury. Do you remember that fight? And then he got popped for weed and couldn't come back. But he had that crazy injury where he had in like the third round, he had a compound fracture from a kick. And the fighter he was fighting was so dumb. All that fighter had to do was let him stand up. And it was it was a Thai guy. All he had to do was let him stand up. But the Thai guy thought he was winning the third round, thought he was controlling him on the ground, and Sugar Shane was just like taking the punches and stuff. And then he couldn't get up. He had to be stretchered off. He was out for however long it takes to fix a fracture like that. And then somewhere in there, he got in trouble for marijuana. So 2 years off of his career. Supposedly he's learned a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, he's in fighting
muscle, which was good too. He got a lot leaner and leaner muscle added to his frame. He kind of filled in, and he's been, I guess, honing his skills. So you said you wanted to talk about the main event. So with Kevin Lee.
Yeah, only because you and I had a very different opinion about those 2 rounds.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I didn't think. Listen, I don't really even know how you give the second round to him, to be honest, because he was almost finished standing up. But
are you serious? There was a lot of good jiu-jitsu in that second round. There was a lot of good jiu-jitsu, but you are mistaken. He did win the first 2 rounds with activity and striking. And then the third round, he went in there and left his head exposed and got choked out by a Brazilian. Like, that's just like, hello, McFly.
Yeah. So I would say in the second round, he ended up laying and praying a little and didn't do much when he got the takedown. But that first 2.5 minutes, he's getting his ass kicked. Like, he was getting beat up. He was tired. And I like Kevin Lee, by the way. I thought he was going to tear up. I thought he was on his way to a title shot. But he's getting torn up, and then he got a takedown and laid on him. The first round, listen, I get it. Like, you get onto the floor, you get onto the ground, it looks like Kevin Lee's winning. But Charles Oliveira was working that whole time. Like, Kevin Lee was trying to get away, and Charles Oliveira was attacking. To me, that's Oliveira control. But I get how that one's more confusing. But the second round, dude, he got his ass beat. He was almost finished.
I think if you rewatch it, you'll see something different.
No, I won't. I won't see anything different. I watched it. Yeah,
you would.
2.5 minutes, and then he laid on him in that second round. So, anyway, what really proves it is that he had been getting his ass so kicked and so worried about getting subbed in the first round, and then got beat up in the second round. Then was able to get a takedown and lay on him. He was so worried about it, he left his neck open, about as clear as you could leave it open. I felt like you don't even see guillotines that much anymore in the UFC. You see guillotine attempts. You don't see a lot of guillotines actually work anymore. And Oliveira got that one in deep. He's a black belt that has that's very creative. So I mean, if you give him your neck, he's gonna choke you out. So
yeah, that was definitely real silly.
Yeah.
I think he was talking about retiring too, which is interesting. It's like, you're a young guy. I guess he maybe feels like he's not ready for the big time.
Oh, I didn't stay for the after talk. So he must have been really disappointed.
Yeah, he's talking about not showing up in the octagon for a couple years.
Well, that might do him good. That might not be the craziest thing for him.
For the longest time, he switched his team, which was good. He switched up. He went for Reed off. He had the same cornerman as St. Pierre.
Yeah, Kevin Lee's problem, man, is that when he looks good, he looks like he could contend for the belt. And then, when he gets caught, or when he starts getting punched a little bit, like, he has a good chin, but when he starts getting punched a little bit, he slows down, makes some mental mistakes, and you realize that, man, if that doesn't get fixed, it's never going to happen. Here's the other thing with Kevin Lee, though. I think he's like 27.
Yeah, he's so young. But you know what's interesting is he also put out a statement afterwards, which was weird. It's just like the dude likes to come up with excuses, and that's why I don't like him as
Yeah,
much. And
yeah,
he was just saying that he disregarded his whole team's game plan after that round. It's like, dude, why would you do that? If you know, just not a smart fighter, you know, just not strategic in his approach.
yeah,
And I think maybe some time off and understanding the game could definitely help him.
yeah. I think he's a smart fighter. I think that some fighters make dumb decisions when they're being punched in the face. You know,
Yeah, I mean
in
that's true.
in,
But I
in
mean,
ring, in octagon, you
I
start
don't
just
care
doing.
how smart you are, you don't leave your neck out. I mean, that's like jujitsu 101. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like that's jujitsu 101. He can't do that.
yeah. I mean, he put it deep in there, but nonetheless, I mean, his mind wasn't there. Obviously, it was so tight. I mean, do you think he was lying? I don't think he realized he tapped.
Oh yeah, he was tapping for certain.
Hold
But
on, hold
that
on, hold
was
on. He was tapping for
that was
certain.
funny. Like he
Yeah,
was just like, oh no.
hold on. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. He was tapping for certain, but I think he was almost out. And when they let it go, I don't think. I believe him that he didn't know he tapped. Let me put it. That's what I mean. Like
Hmm.
he tapped for certain, but like he looked pretty disappointed. Like he was like, yeah, there was no faking it there. He was like,
Oh, that was funny, dude. That was super funny.
yeah, I'm disappointed in Kevin Lee and Charles Oliveira. By the way, you know he's on a big win streak. It's not against like this incredible group of fighters, but a handful of good fighters. But he's actually was, and he's young also, a lot like Kevin Lee. You know, this great fighter, really active, creative, fun to watch. One of the best fighters to watch. You saw the jiu-jitsu on the floor. He has one of the only calf slicers in UFC history, but he would get beat too sometimes. Like he would try to be too crazy. You know what we saw there, he actually brought it down a bit. So he's a little bit like Kevin Lee, but he seems like he's putting it together. And if a guy like that puts it together, then you know the weight class is in trouble. I mean, the only thing is the weight class is 155, and that's one
Yes.
of the strongest weight classes. That's hard. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of dudes in that'll, you know, what I saw interesting is I think recently speaking about 155, I think Masvidal, if he wins this belt against Khabib, I think, or not Khabib, when he goes against Usman during fight week, he said that he might actually want to go back down to 155.
Yeah, well, I mean, he says that because he wants fights. He wants a certain fight. He wants the Connor fight. That's why he would go back down to 155.
Hey,
But
I like it. I like it.
yeah, historically he looked, or he would fight Khabib. That's a big fight too. I mean, in his history, I know that his sort of mindset changed, and that's why he's become the fighter he's become. But in his history, those 155 fights weren't the best. You know what I mean? Like he didn't look the best at those.
He says he never got a fair shake at the belt at 155. So I like it. I enjoy when fighters go up a weight class or down a weight class. I don't like it when they jump multiple ones. I just think it's too much of an unfair advantage. But you know, it all depends. I guess Connor, he went up quite a few.
Well, Connor couldn't make 145. I don't think anymore. So he'd fight at 55. And for big fights, he can go to 170 kind of thing. But I mean, after he wins the belt, after Masvidal wins the belt, if he does, you know, maybe he won't. Usman's no joke, you know what I mean? But if he were to win the belt, going to 155, even though welterweight has a lot of great fighters too, but going to 155 is uh, what will make him the most money. And he said over and over again, it's not so much about the belts. The belts bring more money, but it's about the money for him. You know what I mean?
Well, not even that, though. Connor is fighting at 170, so they could do it at that same weight that they did with Cowboy.
Yeah, but Connor's going the route. No, They didn't fight at 170. Cowboy and him didn't fight at 170.
Yeah, they did, bro.
Yeah. Why did I forget that? I mean, in my mind, Connor's going after the. I mean, Connor wants Khabib again.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen unless Connor fights Gaethje first.
That's fine, but that's what I mean. But those are 155 fights. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and Connor versus Gaethje is a great fight too, by the way.
Man, that's a phenomenal fight.
Yeah, and because Gaethje came in trying to, be the, the knockout artist that he was in the WSOP, had a little bit of trouble, but has since really, really focused his game, and now is one of the legit fighters in 155. So, I mean, I think him and Oliveira would be a great fight too, by the way. Just the way they both fight, like their styles.
Right.
Yeah. So, dude, you got me checking this. Oh yeah, it was a welterweight fight. I don't know why I thought that the Cowboy went down to 170. But
you don't have to, when I say things, you don't have to check for authenticity. I'm very accurate in what I say.
No, you're right. You're wrong a lot. That's why I gotta check, dude.
Oh, no.
You're way off, dude. I always have to correct you on shit.
No.
I always have to correct you on stuff, man.
No, sir. So back to the UFC. I hope those fights go down. I guess let's transition to little NBA. How do you feel about that? Let's be prisoner of the moment and talk about the MVP race.
Yeah,
and
why, the only thing I want to say. Let's do one more topic for UFC. Then we'll hit the NBA. I want to talk about one more thing because the fight might not happen again. The cursed fight, but it's Khabib versus Ferguson. I was trying to work that one in. I mean, it's in end of April, right, or mid-April. So it's
I will be so upset with China. I will boycott all Chinese products. And
you're wearing Chinese products right now.
In America, that's very hard to do.
Yeah, you're wearing Chinese products right now. I'm looking at a Chinese product right now.
I said moving forward.
Moving forward. So that fight, man, I thought it was going down for sure. People were like, of course it's going down. I don't think Angelo knew. I mean, Angelo pretends to be a big fan, but let's be honest. In our little text message, I don't think Angelo knew what we were talking about, that the fight was always canceled. Because he was like, it's scheduled. And we're like, you and I were like, this one better happen. It better happen. And Angelo kept going like, it's scheduled, bro. Yeah, right. But we were talking about the 5 times or 4 times it's been canceled.
Now a pandemic could cancel it. They could very well both be fully healthy, and a pandemic is going to cancel the fight.
Yeah. So this is what I want to ask you. Is the fight being canceled because of the coronavirus, or did the coronavirus happen because this fight got scheduled?
Oh yeah, I think that's exactly it. Yeah. I think that's exactly
Evolution was like, oh, that fight can't happen. Let's go infect 200,000 people and kill a big handful too. So anyway, I want to throw that. Let's just give our picks if it were to happen. Who takes that?
Tony Ferguson.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ferguson because both fighters know what they bring to the table as far as strengths, each one's strengths. I think the biggest X factor is the eccentricness of Ferguson. He has that element of surprise, and the element of surprise is always a factor in fighting. And I think his eccentricness and that element of surprise will catch Khabib off guard.
So I think it's close. I like what you said because I agree with it. The other thing I would add to your argument is that even if Khabib gets him down, you start every round standing, right? So Tony Ferguson will continue to have chances with his style, and Khabib will have to find a way to get Tony Ferguson down every round, right? Once he's down, Tony Ferguson's no joke. He's great on the ground too. But Khabib is we've seen what Khabib does, and I don't know that Tony Ferguson once he's on the ground, will be able to do anything about it. What I will say is I think Tony Ferguson can avoid being subbed, and I think Tony Ferguson can avoid being finished on the ground too.
Tony Ferguson has the most finishes by Darce choke.
Yeah, but that means he needs to be on top, and that's not going to happen. I just see it going the five rounds and Khabib figuring it out. I mean, if Tony Ferguson figures it out and Khabib can't bring him down, then of course Khabib's going to get tagged nonstop. And it makes me excited. It excites me too that Khabib isn't just like shrugging him off. You know what I mean? And everyone knows what Khabib's going to do. It's never been stopped. He's undefeated. But I'm gonna go with Khabib here. Tony Ferguson, I've seen defeated. I know he's on his like 8-9 whatever win streak, but I've seen him defeated. But Khabib, I haven't yet, and I think that he'll be able to do that. Anyway, let's pop over to some NBA. Depending who goes in the chat, we might switch if someone jumps in the chat, but who knows? We were planning to do this often, and if we had been doing it every week, by now we'd have a little following in the chat and stuff. But am I lazy or are you lazy? I don't know.
I think I'm always available. So it's more about you. No judgment though. You got a family. You're a family man, so it's all good.
Well, I'm in a lot of chats. I'm in a lot of other people's chats.
Oh, that's a little bogus because this is. Don't forget where your bread is buttered, homie.
Yeah, got to do it in chaotic sports. Hey, by the way, before we get into the NBA, listen, I get that. Hey, maybe you don't want to get on the stream, right? Maybe you're afraid. Maybe if Angelo got on the stream, you and I were both too pretty for him. Maybe he doesn't want to show his face. Same with Tyler. But I do find it a little insulting. These fuckers don't get into the chat at least to pop in and say what's up.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of bogus, but not everybody's made for the camera. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I put the YouTube link in. They can get on the YouTube. They can just watch.
Yeah,
They can get it. They can get up on the chat.
They're apparently not dedicated friends, or they have a life. One of the two.
Who has a life, dude? It's the coronavirus. Watch. Look, I could be throwing chats up down there.
Okay.
Angelo could be showing up and putting chats and whatnot, telling you you're crazy, but whatever. What can you do? Let's go to the NBA. How about you? You give me a spiel. I think I know who you think is MVP so far, but give me well, maybe I don't actually, because it was Angelo and Tyler arguing about that. So let's start with MVP. Let's talk a lot about the NBA, man. Let's go deep into the NBA.
All right. Well, right now the NBA is on pause, which is unfortunate. There's a mass outbreak of the coronavirus. I think it's like 3 to 5 players.
Thanks, Dan Rather.
3 to 5 players, I think, have it. I don't know. Maybe more, I think, overall, the NBA is in a good place aside from being paused. The stars are performing like stars. Let's be positive, though. The coronavirus is allowing players to heal up. So this next portion of the NBA will get all healthy players, or the majority of the players will be healthy for that title run. I think.
What happens before you finish, though? What happens if KD is irrelevant? Let's say he got better, but the Nets are too far back. I mean, if you take a month off or a month and a half off, and some of these players that were injured and come back, like what if Clay can come back? Well, I guess they're not going to make the playoffs either. What's a player that's hurt that was probably going to be out the year, that's on like a borderline playoff or 8th seed level? Because some players could come back, and then what's going to happen? They get a player that wouldn't have been there in the playoffs. Is that fair? Do you think? Like, what if the Nets were 8th seed right now? What if like they had put stuff together and they were barely the 8th seed, and then KD is able to come back because they do the playoffs in June, July?
That would be sweet.
Yeah, but is that fair?
I don't know right now if there is a team though that would benefit.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, normally it's like Anthony Davis hurt.
I can't think of that right now, but I mean, let's just talk about the Lakers. I mean,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
talk
Go on your spiel. I'll look and talk, and I'll see if I can find.
let's talk about the recent success of the Lakers. I mean, LeBron James is playing out of his mind. He's leading the league in assists. Um, the Lakers are in one of the top 3 records in the NBA. Obviously Anthony Davis has a lot to do with it, but I mean LeBron is facilitating it all, which is more than impressive. A lot of people want to compare, him versus the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Um, but that's they're having success, but at this late portion of the season, LeBron's game is impacting, and they're getting some good quality wins. I think a huge argument that doesn't get a huge point to the argument on why LeBron should get the nod is, and I don't like saying this or admitting it being from the East, but the East is a little bit of a weaker division this year. So the fact that you go against better competition night after night, I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks get to play the Detroit Pistons. I mean, I'm a fan of the East because I watch the Cavs, but I don't even know who's on the Pistons team besides Blake, or is he even still there? Who knows?
He's there.
you know. So I want to give credit to Giannis, but I think LeBron should get the nod for MVP.
Yeah, it's close, man. I mean, LeBron's a dude that we all for many years we all have known he's the best player. We tried to say that he's out of his prime, but I mean, what, last year was the first year in almost a decade that the finals didn't have him in it. Uh, and it's hard because Giannis had such a great year, and this last week it's sort of caught up, like in the talk, right? Like now people are like, well, maybe it's not Giannis. I know. Excuse me. I know Angelo is like, it's Giannis for sure. No worry, no, it's definitely is. But I see the LeBron arguments. I do see him. The other thing I'll say about it is that LeBron hasn't actually won the MVP in a long time. And it seems like the NBA and the people that vote for the MVP, don't love giving to MVPs year after year. It seems like that doesn't happen that much. And if the next up is LeBron, and it's been a while. How long has it been since LeBron won the MVP? It's been a while.
Definitely been a while.
Yeah, and he's the player we all know is the best. And he hasn't won the MVP in a while, and he should. And I get it. Whoever the hot player is, Harden a couple years ago, Giannis last year, that's who they want to give it to. But hey, if I think it's really close, and I don't know that I would call it a giant cheat or some BS if one or the other won it. I'd love to see LeBron win another one though. The only thing I would say is that I still think the Clippers are better. You think that, right? You think the Clippers are better?
I'm going to disagree again.
Yeah.
I think the Clippers are a good team, but I think in a 7-game series, the Lakers win all day.
No.
And here's why.
I hope we get to see it.
Here's why. Well, that's true too. But I think, the offense can easily run through Davis and be successful with LeBron off the court. With Davis off the court, the offense can run and be successful through LeBron. And I think the Lakers are deeper with the new additions that they've added. They're a lot deeper than people think. They got one of the Morris twins on the team now, so that's a good wing defender, somebody that'll be physical with fresh legs. They also got, I think they're talking about getting Dion Waiters as well as a shooter. So that'll be interesting to see if they do that as well. Let's see. I do like the Clippers, but I think they're pretty predictable in the fact that they are going to rely on, I guess, the most recent NBA Finals MVP in Kawhi Leonard. So if Kawhi Leonard is out or has a bad game, I don't see Paul George picking up the slack.
Oh, Paul George was in the MVP mix. He got MVP votes last year. He's still one of the best players in the league. And the Clippers got Marcus Morris. Lou Williams is no joke. He's a great number 3. And then they're picking up guys like Joakim Noah to come off the bench. Like, that's a hard worker, you know.
Oh, wow. No, you did not bring.
Dude, I'm not saying he's a game changer, but you call that a player that's not even in the NBA. They're about to sign at least Joakim Noah could play in the NBA.
Yeah, Waiters is a shooter. And then you got Rondo facilitating, and Dwight Howard's going to play huge minutes here and later on, as well as JaVale McGee.
Get out of here with your Rondo.
The Lakers have a lot of length that is very tough to contend with.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, the Clippers have obviously been played slow on purpose, not letting. And I don't know. This is the part I don't agree with. I wish they wouldn't do this, but resting players in all their weird ways and whatnot. And they're only a few games behind. They're 5.5 games behind. So this is clearly part of the plan. Now LeBron turns it on in the playoffs, of course. AD, I don't think he's barely sniffed the playoffs. If he's even been in the playoffs. Has AD even been in the playoffs? And yes, and a lot of experience.
Yes, he has been. It's been a first round boot, but yes.
Yeah, it was so when they snuck in probably in the 8th seed with what's his name?
Oh, I got something for you. I totally forgot. How about a team that could very well get a player back with an extra month for the playoffs?
Well, the Nets. The Nets are 7th seed.
No, I was going to say the Lakers. Boogie Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins.
Doesn't add that much.
What?
Doesn't add that much.
What?
So Boogie, I'll tell you why. So Boogie, number one, he came back off an injury before and didn't do much, right? Number 2, they got huh?
He doesn't have to do a lot here. You got LeBron and AD. And
that's what I mean.
AD, he's played before, so team chemistry is there. And LeBron can make it with anybody.
That's what I mean. He's not. That's what I mean. He doesn't have to do much. It's not that big of an ad, especially when you got Dwight Howard there too. And they're not going to play that big. They got AD there.
Dwight Howard can't shoot threes, so he does do a lot because he can space the floor.
Yeah, that's fine. Except Boogie didn't do shit a year ago when he came off an injury. I mean, it's going to be slow. Boogie's not additive, not a huge ad.
All I'm saying is he could come back and be a huge ad.
Waiters is a big ad if they got
length. I'm telling you, you can't teach length.
Well, you can, but it's not 1988 either. It's not 1994. You know what I mean? Like,
all right.
Yeah. No. Boogie,
and in crunch time in the fourth quarter when games are close and you got a lot of athletic long bodies getting rebounds and you're not getting
that's
Clippers specifically, you're not getting them because you got all these guys that can't get rees.
What you're saying is all crazy talk. Yeah. What you're saying is crazy talk.
Yeah, they thought the guy who invented the light bulb was crazy until he did it. That's okay.
Who invented the light bulb?
It's just destiny. It's just destiny. The Cavaliers were destined to win their championship. LeBron is destined to win a championship for the Lakers, especially in the wake of Kobe's passing. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant.
Well, that's a different story if God's on his side and, or Kobe's God or whatever. Let me tell you this, though, on a personal level, it absolutely, from the bottom of my heart, disgusts me seeing you root for the Lakers the way you are. I know you're not going to admit you're a fan, but you're basically talking like a homer. You're basically talking like you're from like
totally.
you live near Fox Hills Mall your whole fucking life, that you're an LA guy, and that you're a goddamn Laker fan now.
It does.
So
Now that you pointed out, it kind of irks me too.
Yeah.
But I'm a fan of LeBron and I'm a fan of basketball.
I get it. I see we all know. I mean, I know you're a fan of LeBron and no one else is watching this fucking shit. But I get that part. But I've known you now a long time. And to see you like, you're talking about the Lakers like you were talking about the Cavs 4 years ago, and like you were talking about Miami before that, you know? And it's one thing for it to be Miami. That's one thing for it to be Miami, you know, but the Lakers, man, that's like if I switched to a Yankee fan.
No.
Or a Giants fan.
No.
This player went over there and I'm like, I love them. Well, I got an example of when I did that. When Brett Favre became a Viking, I'll be honest, I was rooting for him to win.
There you go.
So, yeah. Anyway, that does disgust me. So let's say out of the East. So it feels like recently some teams have, I don't want to say figured out because they're still the best team in that conference, but it feels like the mystique of Milwaukee has faded a little bit. You know, for most of the year we were thinking they were shoo-ins. They were winning. The guy for most of the year that we all thought was the MVP on the team, looking great. But lately, before the coronavirus stuff hit, people started going, well, they started talking more loud about, well, maybe like the Celtics could beat them. Maybe the Raptors could beat them. So what do you think about that? Do you think Milwaukee's a shoo-in? Do you think they're going to waltz into the finals? Or what do you think of the Raptors? I mean, the Raptors have been a huge surprise to be second.
I'm going to tell you, the team that I think is underrated and could find success, the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, where are they ranked right now? Because, I mean, I just think overall they got a good team.
They're in the 4th seed, so they would play the Pacers first round.
I think Jimmy Butler can will a victory or two. So that'll be a good matchup. Jimmy Buckets is not gonna give up easy. Now, speaking of the Pacers, they are just now coming into some decent health because they got Oladipo back. It's only been a month or two since he's been back, so another month could be some good rest for him too.
Yeah. So I'm imagining the brackets the way they normally are built. I didn't pull them up, but so if the Heat beat the Pacers, if this is the way the playoffs, I think they get the Bucks. They would either get the Bucks. I mean, assuming the Bucks will beat the Magic pretty easy, they either get the Bucks or the winner of the Raptors and Nets. But dude, earlier we said we were talking like the Nets, and I would have to look this up. We were talking like the Nets weren't in the playoffs, which they wouldn't be if it were the fucking West because they're under 500. But they're the 7th seed. Right now. Yeah. What happens if KD's healthy though? If KD's healthy, that's the Celtics. I'm not saying that they're gonna beat them because but that's the Celtics playing the Nets. We got to look up. We got to look up if it's even feasible for KD to be healthy.
Isn't Kyrie still out too for the whole season or no?
Yeah, I guess he is. I forgot about that. I didn't know it was a whole season.
I think it is. I'm not certain.
But I mean, for whatever reason, in my head, it was like a shutdown thing. Like, okay, we're not going to win shit. Is he injured?
He is injured, but I'm not sure if it's the entire season.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to see real quick without being quiet for a minute. But without Kyrie, KD could win some games. Maybe not against the Celtics, but I don't even know if that's. To be honest, I don't even know if that's feasible. Obviously, during his during his physical therapy, their assumption was that he wasn't going to play at all. So you do it a different way, right? He wouldn't have to show up to October or something like that in the regular season. for next year. So I doubt that it's even feasible. But I thought it'd be pretty crazy though if he. I just want a big story like that where some injured player comes back. So Oladipo, he's been back, but if he gets a little bit more healthy, that'd be great. He'll still be out of practice though. That's the other thing too. We're not thinking. We think these players come back and that they're going to be like their all-star selves immediately. That they're going to have that fitness immediately.
Well, it all depends. I mean, when they come back, if they go to like Curry played in the D League for a few games, which was cool, and they practice. Within their practice, they'll do 3-on-3s, 4-on-4, 5-on-5 types things. So we all know that it's going to be the Clippers and the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals.
Is it? I don't know that. No, I'm trolling now.
Well, I mean, I was just going to ask you. I was going to pose a question. Who do you think will be there, and who wins?
I mean, it's going to probably be the Clippers and the Lakers. I'm just trying to look here at. I'm just trying to look here at some scenarios for upsets.
And when you go, while you're there, do me a favor and tell me why you think that the Clippers would beat the Lakers.
I just think it's all part of the plan. Like I don't think I think the Clippers are playing half-assed and they're only 5 games behind. I don't think that they're showing everything. I think that they know the kind of team that they have. I think it's starting to become clearly obvious in the NBA that you really just got to make the playoffs. If you can make the first 3 seeds, you're going to have an okay matchup, right? I think that obviously LeBron has an incredible playoff experience, but I think Kawhi's a little bit younger. I think Kawhi today, even though he's not getting any kind of MVP, I think today I might still think Kawhi is the best player. Like if I were to draft a team today, based only on skill, I think Kawhi might be my first pick, right? Even over Giannis, even over LeBron. Forget age, right? We're thinking 1 year. I think Kawhi might still be my first pick. I think that's the guy I want in the NBA.
No way.
You said that last year?
No
you said
way.
Kawhi was last year?
No way.
Oh,
still
yeah.
LeBron. LeBron makes the most impact in the game.
So I agree.
All levels.
I agree with that. Like if you're telling me LeBron, I know you're a LeBron fan. Like I agree with it, dude. I've been one of these people that have said, okay, maybe he's out of his prime, but he's still the best. I've been saying that for 7 years. You know what I mean? That LeBron's been out of his prime maybe for 6, 7 years, and he's still to me been the best player. I'm getting to that point where, hey, what are these other guys these people that can do some stuff? And one of them's Kawhi. Like Kawhi can do everything and has a good head on his shoulders. If you told me LeBron's still the best player in the league, that's who you would pick number 1 if you're only trying to win 1 year, like I don't hate that opinion. You know what I mean? Like I don't hate that opinion. I think that starting from last year, I think that I would transfer over to Kawhi. Obviously, the Raptors doing just as good as they did almost last year, like still playing incredible. Sort of takes away from what we thought of Kawhi, right? We thought Kawhi did all of that, and the Raptors are the 2nd seed right now. As we speak. So obviously, there's some good players on that team, but I just think the Clippers turn it on. I think the plan is, and more teams should realize this. They don't do it because of tradition. That hey, you only got to make the playoffs, and if you want an easy first round, just play well enough to get first, second, third seed. So in general, that's why. And I see these teams. I see both these teams, and I know normally I think differently. I see both these teams though the way most people saw them preseason, where the Clippers were number 1 and the favorites, but the Lakers look great too. And I still think that talent's there. I mean, I think when you got like Shamet and Lou Williams are your role players, that team can do a lot. And Paul George is still a near MVP level guy. So I think it turns on in the playoffs.
So here's my question.
We may be just talking hypotheticals. It may never happen.
Oh, it's going down. I mean, the Lakers are winning it all. So I mean,
July? Is it a July playoffs?
yeah, it could be. So let me ask you
Hey,
this: What is Doc Rivers' record in the playoffs versus LeBron? That's interesting.
I don't know, dude. I mean, LeBron was on some of the best teams ever, and Doc Rivers was coaching Orlando, and then the Celtics were a great team, but he was
What?
playing,
LeBron? No, I'm talking. What are you talking about? When did he
and
coach?
then he was
I think
uh,
he coached the
Celtics.
Celtics.
I think his first head coaching job was Orlando. I think he won Coach of the Year. I think he won Coach of the Year with Orlando when it was a terrible team and he had him 500.
Well, that's news to me.
I might be wrong. I'm gonna look it up. I mean, this would be like 2006 or something like that. But I wonder who I'm thinking of if it's not. Anyway, obviously, then on to the Celtics. The Celtics were a great team, but that's like the wrong. Like you're almost being like one of these religious people that will argue with me. You know what I mean? You're trying to set up the question in a way like there's a lot of other variables in it. It has nothing to do with Doc Rivers versus LeBron. It was like it had more to do with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade being there and the Celtics getting slowly older. You know
All
what I
right,
mean?
that's
Or
fair.
them being a little better.
Just curious. It was just a question. It wasn't like wasn't trying to set you up for anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in general, it's like, I mean, how do you answer that? Like the Celtics are freaking awesome, but the team in Miami is one of the best teams in the history of sports.
All right. So in closing, we got another 10, 15 minutes. How about we talk about the NFL draft?
Yeah, that's something I would have to look closer at because I've forgotten all these players.
No, we're just gonna go with our personal teams. You know, what are our needs? What are your needs as a Packer fan? I definitely.
You know what I found?
I think
I'll tell you a couple things.
You should definitely go first.
Who?
You should go first.
Oh yeah, mine are pretty minor. Obviously, they need a receiver. They need better receivers. There's not even guys that Aaron Rodgers can make look better right now, except for, I mean, Devontae is obviously one of the best. And I think this surprises people that play fantasy football, but not Packer fans. I think they want to replace our linebacker. What's his name? The tackle machine? What's his name? He has a Blake Martinez. So a lot of like fantasy, and I need to watch more tape on this, so I'm not sure. I've seen it like in Packer forums and whatnot. But Blake Martinez is, if you play fantasy and you play with IDPs, Blake Martinez is a tackle machine, and you think he has all these points because he gets so many tackles. But I think it turns out he's given up a lot of receptions in the middle of the field. And then he's getting the tackle, right? He's still a good tackler, but he's not very good in coverage or something like that. That he's lost a little bit of a step. So I think they're looking for a linebacker. They're definitely looking for a tight end because they cut Jimmy Graham a couple days ago. So the Packers are that team where they're that weird team, and we talked about it too a bunch of times when we were streaming. Like they had a good record, but they never looked like they played that well. But they still got like these pieces where you're like, oh, they're dangerous. They at any moment they could be good, but they had a new coach. They had all these weird variables. It's really hard to gauge them. And they obviously need some big pieces. They need a receiver, etc. I don't think you can ever go wrong with getting offensive linemen. It depends what talent's there. I haven't looked deep in that. But yeah, they need to add something because Aaron Rodgers not getting any younger. He's still one of the best in the league, definitely. And I still think they can make a run because they got to the NFC Championship. So you can only be so lucky getting that record in a pretty hard schedule. And I think it turned out not to be that hard. But preseason was a hard schedule. And then getting the NFC Championship and then getting beat by a legitimately better team,
So how long? Let me ask you this. So how long has Aaron Rodgers been in the league?
Well, I mean, what did he get drafted? Like 2006, but he spent 3 years behind Favre. You know what I mean? He spent 3, maybe 4 behind Favre. And then that first year, that first year was sort of a shit show. because Brett Favre was gone. That was all. You know what I mean? There's a lot of distraction.
What I was getting at, though, was more about, like, is it a travesty for however long he's been in the league for what many would argue to be one of the greatest NFL quarterbacks to ever be in the league? Is it a travesty for him to only have one championship ring?
Well, it's a travesty in the sense that he wishes he had more, and I wish he had more. But the reason it's not a travesty is you could say the same thing about Russell Wilson. You could say the same thing about Drew Brees. You could say, like, there have been some great teams and some great players on the NFC side. That's
an interesting and very plausible argument from you. I'm actually kind of surprised that you went that way instead of instantly defending.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, what this proves is it's hard. Like, it's fucking tough. You know what I mean? And football is the ultimate team game. I don't care what Angelo says. Like, you could basically put a Pro Bowl team together, but like put like me as like the left guard, and that team's going to lose because whoever's rushing the quarterback is going to make them hurry every time. Like, if you got one hole and you got a coach that can exploit it, Bill Belichick being the greatest of all time at that, and you got a coach that can exploit it, you know what I mean? Then you're going to go there all the time. When a receiver gets hurt, or when a cornerback gets hurt, and the second string cornerback comes in, they got to do it in 30 seconds. Second string cornerback comes in. Where does the quarterback go right away? He attacks that cornerback. You know what I mean? As soon as there's a weakness, you attack it. And Belichick's the best ever at it. I don't think there's anyone better than him at it. Well, people will study him to do that again. But I think people need to remember that, that these quarterbacks, whoever you think is the greatest ever, whoever you think is one of the greatest ever, that there's in football, there's enough other pieces that it can slow you down. You know what I mean? And Aaron Rodgers has had a little bit more injury history than Brett Favre. You know what I mean? Brett Favre probably was playing with concussions a bunch. So in today's game, that record would not have happened. But Aaron Rodgers has played. You can't play with fractures. He's broken both collarbones, and 2 seasons ago he played with an actual fracture. It was a weight-bearing fracture with actual fracture in his leg. You know what I mean? So you mix that in, and you mix in the fact that there's just been better teams. Like this year, the 49ers were a better team. I don't think anyone thinks that Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Aaron Rodgers. Even with Aaron Rodgers playing not as well, I don't think anyone would choose today, if you could choose one or the other, I don't think anyone would choose Jimmy Garoppolo over Aaron Rodgers. Maybe because he's younger, over 10 years or something. You know what I mean? So that's my idea. There's a lot of great quarterbacks in the NFC. Football's a team game, could be big holes, and it is a travesty, but it's what happens. You know what I mean? Like, how does Drew Brees? I think Drew Brees, and I don't want to we don't have to get into this, but I would pick Drew Brees over Tom Brady. I think he's one of the best ever, and he's very similar to Brady, dude. He's playing into his 40s too, and has an arm and has done crazier things, in my opinion. That I think Brees is more a piece of that pie than Sean Payton, where I think Belichick's more a piece of that pie than Brady. That guy only has one. He only's got one. So anyway.
That's fair.
Anyway, what's up?
Browns. My Cleveland Browns, we need a offensive lineman. We need probably 2. There's supposed to be a guy that's at the combine that ran like a 4.6 40 or a 4.8 40 at 300 pounds or something like that.
They were already doing combine stuff?
Yeah.
Were they?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was just workouts right now. Oh, I guess the draft's right around the corner.
Yeah. So we need an offensive lineman, and it would be nice to have a tall receiver, one that's got some talent, like a Julio Jones type of guy. I like Odell Beckham, but one of those 2 dudes are going to leave at some point, so we need to replace him.
But that's a wish list. And Odell Beckham, how can you ask for something more than Odell Beckham? I know it didn't work out, but and Julio Jones isn't the Julio Jones that he was.
Julio Jones is still the man.
So you would take.
I think it would help Baker to have a taller target. That's all. Not
Okay.
saying that, it's bad, but somebody where you can, like there's a lot of those throws that Megatron caught that Matt Stafford was not throwing very accurately.
That Mega. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean that's true too. I've always said that about Tom Brady. That Marvin Harrison. If you, it just reminds me of the argument I used to make about Peyton Manning, which I think is one of the best. I know you don't, but I go, all you got to do is look at a Marvin Harrison highlight reel to see a lot of those touchdowns were Marvin Harrison, not Peyton Manning. And I saw that too with Megatron. I mean, Megatron will get balls, and I think that Stafford maybe knew that. But I mean, I guess you need a taller receiver. But to me, you guys are great at receiver. It's old Baker that needs to rise up a little.
Oh, definitely, he needs to elevate his play. Absolutely.
So two linemen for sure.
Like we definitely need two linemen, and then I feel like we did just cut Christian Kirksey, but they had already had his replacement in Mack from Alabama. I feel like you can't go wrong with the linebacker from Alabama. Personally, I mean, I just feel like you're destined to get a well-coached tackling machine.
Yeah.
So I feel like SEC linebacker is would be good. I feel like we're pretty solid at cornerback. I'd like to see another year of development from Greedy. And then we got the Pro Bowl in cornerback in Ward. So that'll be nice. And the biggest thing is cohesiveness and consistency with our coaching. We got a brand new coach. So it'll be interesting to see how he implements his game plan and how he plays on Sunday.
Yeah, that's a big deal, man. Those coaching changes over and over again. Stefanski, right? You guys ended up with Stefanski? Yeah.
Yep.
And I think he was the guy considered before they decided to stay with what's his name?
Yeah, with our boy. So we'll see. I think Kitchens, he had too much talent to end up with a season like we did, and I think part of it was his arrogancy and aggressiveness. I think we got one of the better running games in the league. Hopefully we can keep Hunt. I think that's in the plans, is to keep Kareem Hunt. And Chubb is an all-star, young player. Baker's just got to get the ball and make the right decisions. And
Stefanski, I understand, is a big analytics guy. So let's see how that helps. Making the right decisions there.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, being a big analytics guy does not mean, of course, that you're not a on the ground make a decision at the right time guy. It just means you know the
decisions with weighted information. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so that was pretty good. I didn't mind that. We'll do this again, yeah?
Soon? Yeah, we got through it, minus all the technical difficulties to begin with, for sure.
Hey, no one will ever know about those technical difficulties because that video is private now.
Good.
And no one got on during that time, so we're good.
Nice.
We're good to go there. Okay, dude. Let's do it again and see if we grab some more people.
Roger that. I like it.
See you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Those that watch on the rewind. Hasta la vista.